It's not as simple as it seems when looking at the newest 4.3 characters, and this is the best time to understand the whole situation about Navia, Chevreuse, and the 4.3 banners. But first, this video is sponsored by Echocalypse, the Scarlet Covenant, and in this gacha game, the world is ravaged by the mysterious Echo Crystals, and your goal as an Awakener is to save your little sister from this apocalypse. And in this game, you can collect hundreds of beautiful kimono characters drawn by famous artists. Characters like Aiken, Garula, or Sova. Each of them come with cool powers, beautiful artwork, unique traits, and most importantly, these girls are voiced by extremely talented VAs. So I'm sure you'll find a kimono character you can appreciate. And I mean, just look at all the stunning characters you could get from a single tentpole. Some top-notch characters, I tell ya, and I can already feel how much more cultured I'm becoming by just summoning each time. Just look at all these characters and tell me you don't feel the same way. And honestly, the combat is pretty chill. You can see that there's this energy bar that charges up, you can use different abilities, and characters can also unleash their own skills at will, like Horus here, who can wipe the enemies with a big move. And so far, my favorite thing I've encountered was this cool boss fight. It actually felt pretty tense. And when you want to just relax, there's a cute and highly customizable base building system you can utilize. After all, what's a gacha game if you cannot interact with your characters outside of battle? So make sure to check out Echocalypse by using my link in the description, follow the game's social media accounts, and don't forget to use my special gift code you can see here for awesome rewards. Most importantly, you'll help support my channel, so download Echocalypse now. It's pretty crazy if you think about it. We haven't seen a new Geo character for almost 2 years. But all of this changes now because Navia is going to make Geo great again, right? Well, here's the thing. After reviewing the footage and notes about Navia from the livestream, there's quite a few topics that I think we need to talk about. First of all, she's not going to be much of a team player, so that means very limited support she can provide for other Geo characters. Her whole playstyle will rely on her unleashing big damage from her skill, and after using the skill, she gains Geo Infusion, so that means she can throw in a couple of normal attacks as well. But you see, she has these bullets near her, and she can stock up on them by either collecting crystallized shards from the ground, or if her burst deals damage to enemies. And the more bullet stacks she has, the better the skill damage. Now, to me, this means she's not going to be your usual attacker, where you just brainlessly unleash the skill and burst at the same time, but instead, you'll want to use her burst, wait for it to accumulate some bullets for Navia, and then use her skill. Now, the same could also be done if anyone from the party picks up crystallized shards. It doesn't have to be Navia herself, because she can be off-field and she still gains bullet stacks when anybody else picks up the crystallized shards. Although I suspect there will be rotations where she can easily just pick up shards and use the skill immediately. But what's also really interesting about her is the burst. At first, I thought it's just some extra damage and bullet stacks she can obtain. But then, after reviewing the footage, I realized her burst lasts for 12 seconds, which means she's not just getting extra bullet stacks from the off-field damage hits, but also more crystallized shards can be created. Although this will depend on how good the burst ICD is going to be, so here's hoping Hoyo doesn't decide to ruin this. However, if we assume she can generate those bullet stacks easily, is there any reason why would she need a second or even a third Geo teammate? Well, actually, it all depends on how well her rotations will work, but honestly, at least second Geo teammate will be pretty good because Geo Resonance is actually amazing if you think about it. 20% Geo resistance reduction to enemies and extra 15% damage increase if the active character has a shield. And since there will be plenty of crystallized shields going around, this will be super easy to achieve. In fact, while I believe the 15% damage bonus is only active as long as the character has a shield, the 20% Geo resistance shred on enemies works even if the shield is lost. Because, as you can see here, all you have to do is land a single hit when shielded, and the enemy's resistance will be reduced for 12 seconds, even after I lost a shield here. So yeah, pretty exciting if you decide to go Double Geo with Navia. Now, as long as we're on the topic of Crystallize, the new Geo artifact set has been revealed on Hoyo's official website, and I gotta say, it looks pretty juicy. Basically, extra 18% attack from 2 set and 20% Geo damage increase for 10 seconds once a character uses their skill. But if the character using the skill has Crystallized Shield, this goes from 20 to 50% Geo damage increase. Pretty amazing, and I'm sure it's not just Navia, but also Ningguang who is happy about this set. Still, due to the fact Navia will need to spread out her skill and burst usage, I cannot see this burst benefiting from this set that often, or at least it won't be utilized fully. However, there's always that one person out there who might be able to make it work. But keep in mind, if you have pulled for Farina, then without a doubt, the Hunter set will be a lot better for Navia compared to this one. All in all, Navia seems like a pretty interesting Geo unit who will not spend a lot of time on field, but act more like a quick swap character. And because she has a unique mechanic where her skill becomes powered up from the crystallized shards you collect, she will be the first character to actually make crystallized feel like a relevant reaction. But there's one more reaction that's going to undergo a massive change. Look, I won't lie, I'm kinda scared to know just how good Chevreuse is going to be because I really want Hoyo to continue with this trend of releasing 4 stars that enable entirely new teams. But what am I talking about here? Well, if you build a team with Chevreuse that's entirely made up of Pyro and Electro characters, with at least one Pyro and Electro unit, then she unlocks this really cool ability for everyone, which will reduce enemies' Pyro and Electro resistance after causing overload reaction. Basically, think of this team building restriction the same way we would build Nilo's team, except this time it revolves around Pyro and Electro instead of Hydro and Dendro. But there are no special requirements to trigger this double element resistance shred, not that I'm aware of at least. All you have to do is just have Chevreuse in this 2-element team, cause overload reaction with anyone, and you're good to go. To me, this sounds like an amazing way to revamp an old and, truth be told, extremely clunky reaction. It's no secret overload is considered to be one of the worst reactions in the game for one simple fact, that it just knocks the enemies around way too much. Sure, if you're going up against the boss, this doesn't matter since they have infinite poise, and in some team comps like Burgeon, it works out nicely, but a while back in one of my videos, I showcased Overload Kaching and how painful it can sometimes be to play a comp like this. Especially with melee attackers, since smaller and even bigger enemies just keep getting pushed back, which means you need to waste stamina and precious time to chase them around. But don't get me wrong, the damage coming from Overload is pretty good, even with minimal amount of elemental mastery, and it will deal even more damage with Chevreuse teams since Overload is considered to be Pyro, and it benefits from the enemy's decreased Pyro resistance. So in Chevreuse teams, if you have artifacts with some EM in substats, this will be a pretty good addition to team's overall damage. But you might be thinking, what's the point of using her when we already have amazing Anemo units who can apply VV resistance shred, can group enemies, and even provide their own unique buffs? That I cannot answer right now. I'll be working hard to answer this question with a day 1 Chevreuse build and review video, so keep an eye out and subscribe to my channel. Although, I will say this, double swirling 2 elements besides Kazuha is not easy, but with Chevreuse, this will be a joke of a task. In fact, we also learned that she will provide an attack buff for the team after using her hold version of the skill. And on top of that, she also provides healing for the active character when she uses her skill. Now, I'm not sure about the healing part because so far, a lot of the teams I've been theory crafting involves good old Benny Boy. I know, there's no escaping from this dude, but he does provide a ton of healing by himself. So if Chevreuse can provide even decent amount of damage, this will be a win for the never-ending roller coaster that is the life of a new and shiny 4-star. And the thing is, I can already see some really cool team comps like Raiden, Benny, Xiangling, and Chevreuse. Both Raiden's and Xiangling's damage will be boosted by a massive amount thanks to Benny's attack boost and Navia's resistance shred, and the rotation so far looks brain dead easy. So that's one team that's going to be popular, at least in my opinion. Another interesting one is going to be Yoimiya with a shielder, cause you don't want her getting interrupted. So like a comp with Yoimiya, Toma, Fischl, and Chevy. This seems like a pretty fun comp, especially considering Fischl's amazing off-field electro damage and Yoimiya's fast pyro attacks, so it will be interesting to see if it holds up. However, one thing to keep in mind is that the comps I've mentioned still need to respect that one annoying thing about Overload, the dreadful knockback, which means, in my opinion, these teams will perform the best against big bosses, since they cannot be knocked back. Overall, I think Chevreuse has enough future-proofing built into her, so when any new Pyro or Electro character gets released, they will potentially have synergy in Chevreuse comps, similar to how these days almost every new Hydro or Dendro character that gets released find themselves in a Nilo comp. Now, I quickly want to talk about the 4.3 banners. In the first phase, Navia and Ayaka will be on the featured banners, and I think by now, it's pretty clear where Ayaka stands in terms of the so-called meta. She's a good crowd unit, although I'm not sure why we would pull for her since all of us got her for free at Adventure Rank 42. But seriously, if you ever decide to build a freeze team, that's where she shines the best, while Navia is going to be this quick swappy Geo damage dealer that doesn't really rely on other Geo characters, except for maybe activating Geo Resonance and creating more crystallized reactions, but overall, it doesn't seem like she will need to hard commit to specific Geo characters or a mono Geo team when compared to someone like Ito. so she's going to be pretty flexible. But keep in mind that she is strictly just a damage dealer, and the golden rule of building teams, especially when you're a new player, is to first acquire and build strong support characters. That is, of course, if you care about the Abyss. Otherwise, go nuts with Double Geo animal comps or something. And as for the second phase, now that we have some kind of an idea about Chevreuse' potential, both Yoimiya's and Raiden's banners will be amazing if you want to build overload team comps. Obviously, Raiden is a lot more flexible compared to the Fireworks girl. She can be used in Hyper Bloom comps as a glorified E-bot, she works super well in a national variation called Rational, and you can even build Hyper Raiden comps, which, by the way, might become varied thanks to Chevreuse, since previously it was Benny, Kazuha, and Kujosara boosting up Raiden, but it's possible Chevreuse might be able to replace Kazuha, although I'm not sure about her constellations, since Kazuha does bring a ton of value for this team, but it will be interesting to see how this works out once Chevreuse releases. Overall, I would say second phase banners, or more specifically Raiden's banners, seems like a good one to go for if you're new to the game, while those who want some new Geo action can go for Navia. Just keep in mind, there's always the livestream which will reveal the 4.4 characters during the second phase banners. Anyway, I hope you found this video interesting, and I would really appreciate it if you could press the like button and subscribe to my channel. This way, you'll help support my work. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.